ask, you've obviously built an incredible company with MeatEater. You have MeatEater, you have First Light. Like every time we come out here, I feel like we learn something new, like 150 employees. Like, how did you build this company into what it is today? Because it came through writing, you get on television, there has to be a shift in your mind mentally to where it's like, hey, I could have the ability to build something of my own. Because I think that's incredible. It is incredible what you've built with me.
Yeah, it's such a convoluted, complicated story, and it's hardly at all. It's just not like it's not the doings of a single person at all. But I had eventually. Do you guys remember? Well, of course you do. All the Anthony Bourdain shows over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what happened was. The production company that made all that Bourdain stuff, it was 0.0 production. Chris and Lydia Tenaglia had 0.0 production, and they did like Cook's Tour, which was Bourdain's first show. They did No Reservations. They did Parts Unknown, and they produced all that material. I'm only bringing that up because it's a way to kind of understand the group of people I'm talking about. I fell in with ZPZ on some like development projects to like develop some of the work, to some of my writing into TV material. And we started making MeatEater, the show. Like it was like MeatEater was a TV show that I was making with 0.0 production. I named it that because I just had a new kid. My first kid was born, and I would read him books about animals. Like I mainly would just read him books about animals and be reading like books about dinosaurs and shit, you know? Mm-hmm. And it'd be like this ferocious meat eater, the T-Rex. So I just had that word in my head, and we started this show, and it was like no intention of being anything other than a show. And we'd make the show, and we didn't sell it. We just licensed it. So we licensed it to Sportsman Channel. We licensed it to Netflix for a bunch of seasons, and we just owned it. If someone had bought it, we would have sold it to them. Okay. So it was like lucky that if the right deal would have come along, we would have just sold it because that's how TV's always made. Mm-hmm. Like when a network, a streamer, whatever, when they buy a project, it's usually they take possession of the IP. You produce it for them, but they own it. Mm-hmm. Because we just got lucky. We got lucky and didn't originally sell it to anyone. Mm-hmm. We only ever made licensing deals. And it was almost like accidental, right? But what that enabled is it wound up being that we wound up owning a seed to this whole sort of universe of hunting and fishing content and whatnot. Over time, we got an opportunity to take an investment that would let us spin, that we're approached about taking an investment that would let us spin MeatEater outside of the 0.0 cradle to spin it out and like hire our own people. A lot of the guys that worked on the show that I did all lived here in Bussin, Montana. It was just like it was a very small group of people, and just almost like weirdly coincidentally, we're all centered around here. I had lived here before. They were living here. So when we found a way to like spin MeatEater off and make MeatEater its own entity, we just like moved it here. And then we're able to take investment to buy gear companies. And we had a sponsor, like First Light was a sponsor of ours going way back. Like the founders were one of our first sponsors. We eventually got to a point where we were able to buy First Light, and then other gear companies, FHF gear, Phelps game calls, Dave Smith decoys. We were able to grow into this commerce brand. But I'm like aware of and know what's going on, and in all aspects of it. But my day in, day out is like our media brand, right? So we look at it, we kind of look at our world as being, we have our commerce business and our content business. And I work day in, day out. I'm like in the content business, but it's not like a thing I did I didn't have like a roadmap in my head for it. I don't feel, if you think about like your professional life, maybe you guys have found it differently. I've never had it be that I've never been in a situation where I felt like I arrived at a T in a road. Do you know what I mean? Like a clean T where you have to decide like you're going to turn 90 degrees right or you're going to turn 90 degrees left. I've never hit that professionally. Every junction I've ever come to has been like an angle that's the obvious angle, or there's maybe like some little shitty dirt road you could take off to the side. And I've always just like been like, well, I'm going to stay on the one that seems the most like beaten down.
Yeah.
Like I've never had like some moment to be like, oh, do I do this or do this? Because they're equally tantalizing. Mm-hmm. It's always been like, well, no, man, right now for me, the clear option is to go that way.
Right.
And I've just always gone like, the clear option is to go that way. And I just go that way. I've never had like a do or die. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't think of ever having a do or die like thing that happened to me.
Right.
Change the trajectory of where you're actually going. It seems like it's all just been one thing to the next thing that's opened up the next door.
Yeah, it's never some movie shit, you know, or like someone's like, take it now, or
you know,
this
is your last opportunity. You're in a hotel room with a suitcase and a guy.
Yeah, never happened.